Okay. Hello, Rachel and Lori.
Hi.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
Good, so
Great.
good. So good to have you on here today. And to my audience, thank you for tuning in to the I Love You packages where I share all things to help improve your marriage. And today I have with me the magic marriage coaches, Rachel and Lori. And they're going to go ahead and introduce themselves to you guys and, tell a little bit about what they do. Rachel, you can go first.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel Lyra, and uh, next to me is my mother, Lori, and we are a mother-daughter duo. We have decided to pair up together and coach together to help people in the context of relationship, right? We all have struggles in life with different relationships, and our goal is to help people find the magic within themselves to be able to heal and transform their relationships on their own without the other person doing
Wow.
any other work. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because a lot of times one doesn't want to go to the counseling. So if someone can get started, and that's similar to my journals, but we'll keep going with you guys. So Lori, go ahead and introduce you.
So, yeah, I have been working in this field of coaching counseling for 28 years, if you can believe that. I uh, I did work at a very large church. I was in their counseling department,
Oh,
and
awesome.
I loved it. But it was more what you typically would call talk therapy, you know?
Mm,
And then I got introduced to the type of work that Rachel and I are doing, actually from Rachel. And it is kind of interesting how we got dubbed the magic marriage coaches. And we thought it was cute because we're not mystical kind of people. We're more, but the whole idea that um, there is inside us the ability to reconnect,
mm,
to heal um, with our relationships, with our men, with, like you said, not dragging them into, because they don't want to go.
mm-mm.
And most of them think there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. And
Mhm.
there may or may not be, but we can help resolve a lot of those things. And yeah, I really enjoy working with couples and with individuals.
Awesome. Um, yeah, so you said that you've been doing this for about 24 years. How long have you been doing this, Rachel?
So actually being a coach, I've been doing this for about 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
an interesting, Sharon, you would find your audience might find interesting is
Mm-hmm.
to be a coach, to be effective, you have to have lots of good skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be a good listener. You've got to be a good observer, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got to be able to communicate. Well, Rachel's profession and my professions before this time
Mm-hmm.
all incorporated those skills. So it's kind of interesting how life just keeps building upon your ability to give back. And um, being a Christian, I really want to give back to people, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah, to be a communication coach takes skills, and those skills and abilities, we don't always have that in a relationship because we're not coaches. So yeah, it's we need people like you to help. And so why are you guys doing this? Like, what is your motive, and what do you plan to get out of it? I know
I'll go
your ultimate
first.
goal is to help people. Of course, we always want to help, especially with Christian backgrounds.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Sure. Yeah. So for me personally,
Mhm.
the reason why I'm doing this is because I've always known that I've had a greater purpose.
Mm,
My profession before this, I'm a mammographer. So I've helped women over 17 years in high anxiety situations,
mm,
breast biopsies, just doing the regular types of exams, all that kind of stuff. And I've got really good at it. and I
Wow.
loved it.
Yeah.
But it didn't fulfill me. And
Mm.
then I was married for 11 years
Mm-hmm.
with the same man for 14 years since I was 20 years old, right? And I loved him to death, and things were just really, really hard consistently for a very long time. And we ended up getting divorced. And
Mm.
I, I saw it coming. I knew it was coming. I was actually pregnant at the time, and
Mm.
I was so heartbroken and angry and resentful of all the things that I had done for him, and everything I had given, and how I, you know, his parents were still married, my parents were still married. Like, that was our glue that was going to hold us together, and that wasn't truth.
Right. Right.
Um, so I was reaching for help, reaching out for help at the time, and I got counseling help. I did this, I did that. I read books, would get a little bit of relief, but I never got what I really, really needed to be able to shift things inside myself to be
Right.
able to help our marriage.
Mm.
So, um, then I started doing this coaching actually to learn how to communicate better with my employees.
Mm.
And it completely changed my life 100%, to where I was able to see where I could have made changes and could
Mm.
have successfully potentially changed my marriage. Now, I believe everything happened exactly how it's
Mm.
supposed to. And I'm right here right now because I'm supposed to be. But I know there's a lot of women out there who are in the same position where they're in conflict, in or out, like they don't know if they should stay, they're unhappy in their marriage, and they need some help. And so my goal is to really be that shining light, be that beam, like, I'll help you, like, I want to help
Right.
you.
Yeah.
I see where we can make shifts on our own without our husband having to do the same. So um yeah, I have a heart. I know this is part of my bigger purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I loved mammography, once I had my daughter, she's 6 now, I didn't want to be tied to a 9 to 5 job. So part of that was finding something different where I can make a difference and not
Right.
have to work a 9 to 5 job. I could be there for my daughter as well. So
Awesome.
that's why I'm doing it.
That's a
Well,
beautiful story. Thank you for being so transparent.
Yeah.
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 And you know, she really did
Mm-hmm.
change so drastically that she began having very win-wins with her ex
Yeah.
Yeah.
and with other people in our family, and it was amazing. And that's what drew me to go and do the same schooling, because I
Mm.
saw the change in her. But
Okay.
then we we worked together with a family,
Okay.
and we
Mhm.
got this vision. And
Mm-hmm.
we were driving together one day, and we just looked at each other, and Rachel said to me, "What if we could change one family at a time?"
Aw.
And it just like that's
Wow.
so that's why we're doing what we're doing now, is because
Yeah.
we have now affected quite a few families, and it snowballs,
Yeah.
and the men really do change with you, you
Mhm.
know, and you don't have to do anything to make that happen to them. It's what you do with your own mind, your own heart, your own prayer life, you know, what's going on that way
Right.
that starts changing things. And so we're excited about sharing that. We're really glad that you invited us to come on your program today, just to get the word out.
I am so happy you're here. I can't wait to hear later in the interview some of those strategies that you're going to share with us because we need help. Women, we need help. Men too. We all need
Yeah.
help. Marriages need
Yes.
help. And that's why I was so thankful for her to share that transparency because a lot of times women, we think we're alone. We think we're the only ones doing everything wrong. And how are we supposed to make this right? And we need to hear that hey, we're human, but
Mhm.
there's help for you and this is what it is. um so my next question was, um do you think that communication is one of the biggest problems in the marriage? Is that what really it all boils down to?
I say absolutely. That's a huge, huge piece of it because
Yeah.
we communicate in multiple different ways.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's a very important issue because
Mhm.
what we forget is that communication affects whatever your big issue is. So if your big issue is money,
Yeah.
it's how you're communicating. And we think communication is our words,
Mhm.
but it's not. That's just a small percentage of it.
Right. Yeah.
And we want to communicate with our partners about let's go with the finances. You know, let's say he's a Philly guy and he loves Christmas, and every Christmas he wrecks your entire budget, goes out and spends money on the kids and everybody, and you don't know how you're going to make this work, right?
Mhm.
And seen this happen before with people, and they don't communicate. You know, they just go and do, and you're so frustrated and angry, right?
Right.
So, what does a typical person who's frustrated and angry do? Start screaming and yelling and carrying on.
Yep.
But he's
Unfortunately.
a filler. He's not going to understand that. And the volume is too loud for him. You have to get soft. You have to study your person. You have to talk like, oh, honey, before Christmas comes this year, could we come up with a better plan?
Oh, that's
I feel you. I
yeah.
feel what you want to do. I want to do it too.
Mm,
It does feel so good to give those presents to the kids. How can we both win-win?
right.
That's a different kind of communication than we've been taught. We haven't seen it usually,
No.
you know, and
Mhm.
we don't slow down enough to come back with that, you
Yeah.
know?
Yep. And
So,
that is a skill because I have noticed some women, and you know, you look at some women how they handle their marriages, and if they and some of them are just so gentle, soft spoken like that, you know, and you're like, oh God, it just shows yourself sometimes.
well, and
Like,
it
man, if
may
you could
be
only
there,
be as soft spoken like that and calm.
and it may not be that you have to talk soft to your man. You know what I mean? He might be very direct kind of person,
Yeah.
and you've been beaten around the bush as an indirect person. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
you're right.
neat
You have to know
aspects.
your person. You do.
You have to study them.
Yeah.
In
Yep.
your children too,
Yeah.
probably your parents also.
Right. Yep. And I know my person. He's very direct, like you
Yeah,
say, very direct, very and yeah. So it plays the both. He doesn't want me to be a yes, ma'am, yes, sir, you know,
yeah,
but there is a way that we have to know how to speak to our person. Yeah, absolutely right. I always tell the women, I can give you tips because I'm not an expert like you guys. I can give you tips, but the best thing you could do is understand your mate and your spouse, you know, and ask them what it is that they want, you know, because every man is different. Every man is different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, so how would you stop having the same arguments over and over again?
That's such a good question because that is something that's huge in relationships, right?
Yes, yes,
Huge.
absolutely.
So, really, the first step is you have to come to agreement that you want to resolve this, right?
Mhm.
So you both have to be on the same page saying, okay, let's stop this cycle. Let's get it done and over with this
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
And to do that, you really have to do what we call chunking up. Okay. So
Mm,
you have to think biggest picture, go really high. Like, what is your intention with this part of the argument?
mm,
Okay.
mhm.
And what is the other person's intention? Because we ultimately, like, we'll have the same exact goal and we're fighting for the same thing.
Yeah.
We're fighting for the same thing, but against each other.
Yep.
So learning, okay, so what's the bigger intention of this argument? What are you trying to get? What are you trying to get? How can we come together and just really, instead of digging into all the little nitpicky details of the
Mm,
problem,
mhm.
starting with the bigger picture.
Mm.
So from there, then you can get to the root cause of whatever the repeated argument is and get rid of it once and for all. So it really comes down to just understanding each other, right? And what communicating what your needs and your wants and your desires are in
Mhm.
a more effective way so that they can receive it. And then we married each other for a reason, right? We love
Right.
each other. We want to be with each other. So communicating to them in an effective way where they can receive it, but then also they're going to want to do that for you. So really getting to the point where they hear you
Mm-hmm.
and then they can get on their mission to fulfill your needs
Awesome.
and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's kind of a mindset thing, Sharon,
Mm-hmm.
because you know, we often get in a war with each other, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we don't think the best. You're Russia and we're the USA, right? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Right.
How did we get to
Crazy.
that place?
Yeah.
He's your man, you love him. You're his woman, you want to be with him, you
Right.
know? So how did we make it such a beating your head against each other, right?
Yeah, we made
So
that more
mindset,
fun.
I know you want to know more about mindset with this, but mindset is so important.
Mm,
And you know, we have a lot of good instruction in the world. If you read the Bible, it tells you that you're supposed to take every thought captive. So
yeah.
when you have a really rotten thought about your partner,
Mm. What is it? Yeah.
you stop yourself and say, no, no, he loves me. He wants the best for me.
Mm.
Quit wasting your time thinking that way, you know?
Right. Yep.
And all of that helps you win-win with negotiations. Once you start, most people know the love chapter. They know that love is supposed to think the best of the other person.
Mm. Yeah.
So these are things that we teach about in our course and the things we do. But you know, it doesn't take much for women to just turn it around once they start getting these concepts, you
Mm.
know? So it's really
Awesome.
cool.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Because that is what I try to do lately is nope, positive thoughts. Nope, not going there. Nope, not today. Nope, not today. Yeah. So that does help you to have that mindset, like you said, and it's like, nope, we're gonna get through this and we're not gonna be here for 3 hours talking about it and be mad
Yeah.
after. Yeah.
And
So for what?
exhausted the next day.
Yeah, I know.
We want to
When you're first
enjoy
married,
our
you
day.
stay up till 3 in the morning, arguing about some stupid thing.
I call them all-nighters.
Mhm.
I would call my best friend. She'd be like, "What happened?" Oh, we had an all-nighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
it wasn't fun.
no, it wasn't. And that
We
was
like the other kind.
right. Yeah. Um, and that was probably what addresses the one of your posts that I saw about negative thinking will never make your life positive. And you said, what's on your mind? Are you ready to grow? So that's kind of probably what that looks like, right?
Yeah, if your mind is filled with negativity about your relationship, about your husband, about yourself, how can you grow and shift your relationship to be better?
Right.
And some people are completely unaware and they're just living that way, right?
Mm.
But then other people are like, wait a minute, I don't want this.
Right. Yeah.
I want connection. I want to feel loved. I want to be happy in my relationship.
Mhm.
What can I do? So some people are become aware that they've got that stuff going on in their mind. They just don't know how to shift it,
Right.
how to fix it. So are you ready to grow is saying, I'm really saying, are you ready to become more positive? Are you ready to make that choice? Because we get to choose the meaning that we make of any situation.
Right. Yep.
And so what that really looks like is just taking responsibility for ourselves. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we have to take responsibility for a bad thing that happened. We
Right.
take responsibility for how we react or respond
Exactly.
to it.
Absolutely. Yep.
We can find anything positive in a negative situation.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to train our brain to go that way instead of going directly to the negative. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What else could this mean?
Right.
Or how is this happening for me? And start thinking of different ways instead of straight to negative.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And that's why I think self-care is so important. because it brings you to that self-development stage where you start to look at the man in the mirror and make those changes because you want to be better, right? You want to do better. And so, yeah, self-development is a major key and a step towards having a better marriage. Um, so now we have a couple more minutes. And you talk about those strategies to get the love that you crave for. I don't know any woman that does not want to feel that love.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have kind of three things that you can do now. Okay.
Okay.
If you're not feeling that love and connection that you need
Mhm.
to really step back, work on these three things, and see things shift immediately. Okay.
Okay.
So the three things are one, self-care, obviously taking care of ourselves,
Mhm.
reframe our negative thinking, which we were just talking about, and
Right.
then connecting with our spouse on a different level. Okay.
Mm.
So first off, self-care.
Mhm.
So if we want to be cared for, we got to take care of ourselves first, right?
Absolutely.
So we need to make sure that our cup is filled so
Mhm.
that we can be our best and be there for everyone else. This is like, we know this is something very commonly heard. You know, you're on an airplane, if it's going to crash, you got to put your mask on first before
Right.
anybody else,
Yep.
because you're no help to the other person if you're
Absolutely.
not taking care of yourself.
Mm.
So um you know, self-care is really our mindset,
Mhm.
activities, practices, habits that we bring for ourselves that go against stress, unhappiness, illness, depression, and
Yeah.
all these negative emotions that we have. So self-care is so incredibly important. And a lot of women say, well, I don't have time or I don't have money. So there's things you can do without um costing
Right. Yeah.
or taking up time, like say you have kids at home, or you know, you have to keep an eye on them. There's things that you can still do for self-care. And so I have a list here. I'll read off a few of them.
Okay.
um Taking a nap is self-care.
Yes.
20-minute nap, you know, calling an old friend and reconnecting with them,
Yeah.
tidying up your house. For some people, if their house is a mess, they internally feel a mess, so cleaning
Yeah.
up your house is
Yeah.
great self-care.
Mhm.
It feels good to have a clean house,
It
doesn't it?
does. Yep.
Scheduling prayer or meditation time. Just give yourself 5 minutes in the morning. You know,
Mhm.
something as easy as watching the sunrise or the sunset and just being calm, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yep.
just watching the world as it is.
Mhm.
You know, playing a game, stretching, putting on your favorite music. Music is huge, right?
Mhm.
Reading a book, painting your nails, finding some sort of yoga tutorial on YouTube. Like the possibilities of self-care are really endless. So it's like, what do you love? What makes you happy? And then finding something that you can fit into your daily life to really give yourself that and fill yourself up.
Yeah. Yep. I'd say, yeah, a lot of people think self-care costs. It doesn't have to cost.
Mm-mm.
My husband used to have men's meetings that he would go to like every Thursday, and that was my time to take a bath. And he got so accustomed to it that when he wasn't going to his men's meeting and I wasn't doing my bath, he was like, I thought you do your baths on Thursday. You know, and I was like, yeah, you're right. But whatever reason I wasn't doing it, but he knew that that was it. Every Thursday, I enjoyed that time to
Yeah.
myself. Yeah. And that's just one self care, you know, that
Yeah.
didn't cost me anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 You want to share it, Lori, the
Lori,
second
yeah.
thing?
Well, so we've been talking about mindset a lot, and we don't really like to think of ourselves as having stinking thinking, right?
Mhm.
We like to think that our thinking is right and everybody else is wrong. And so, and we've already talked about this a little bit. It's really so crucial in the whole aspect of where you're at, how you are feeling in your space.
Mhm.
And so, um, again, taking those thoughts captive, thinking the best of others,
Mhm.
thinking the best of yourself. The questions Rachel mentioned about for what purpose.
Right.
And a lot of times we think that if we just put rose-colored glasses on, we're being positive.
Mm.
And that's a form of positivity, right?
Right.
But it's not necessarily a transformed mind.
Right.
So we really work on helping people transform their minds. And there are stuck places in a lot of people's lives. So there's some therapies that we can do that can help people get unstuck. But in the meantime, if they just become more self-aware, self-awareness is just huge. And you know, they just need to work on that and keep pressing in, and you know, be okay with having someone say, hey, that was negative, or you know, because I used to hate that when somebody would say that to me. So, and you know what,
It's part of maturity, growing up.
yeah, you're just pushing back from what is truth. And a lot of us grew up in a lot of negativity and or rebellion. I mean, I'm a child of the 60s, so rebellion was huge, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's our other point. The next point that we like to encourage people in is that helps them, the strategy of getting the love is rapport building. And so I'm going to share one aspect and I'll let Rachel finish, but you know how to build rapport with your man. It's in you. If you just go back to the first days of your dating and love.
Yeah.
So the other day I was sharing, because we talk about this on our webinar, I was sharing with a couple, an older couple, my husband and I age, right? And I was saying, oh, one of the points is rapport building. And my husband's sitting there. And we've been married 46 years, okay?
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah.
Awesome.
So I look over at, I said, here's rapport building. And I get my body stance to match his. And I look into his eyes. And all of a sudden, both of us were like melting. It was so cool. It was such, and the other couple observed it. I said, that's rapport building. But you get
Wait,
so
you said you looked in his eyes and both of you were melting?
melting. You know, you just, you know, the melting love feelings you have for each other again.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just was automatic, you
Oh,
know.
okay.
And that's why I brought up how long we've been married, because you think of old folks as the no, we still have strong passions.
Wow.
And
I can see
and
it.
so anyway, but it was cute because the other couple saw the reaction.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have to use any more words.
Wow.
And but if your audience, if they want to do something really simple, they melt that wall down, that wall they put up for whatever reason. He's not paying enough attention to me. I feel neglected. He thinks his job is more important than me. You know, all those negative things. Zip those up, put them away, and just tonight, look at him. Just look at it. If you look at somebody for 2 minutes, a love is just back.
Wow.
You know, and we forget that because we're all defended.
Yeah.
You know, and we want him to approach, you know, because our men were hunters before, and they approached us more. Guess what? They need a little bit of that approaching too.
Yeah, yeah.
So share some more things about that. I like the breathing aspect.
I love that.
So really, to reconnect with your spouse quickly, you can do it without talking, is what she's saying, by your body language. So you can very simply match or mirror, like do the opposite of how they're sitting or standing. And you can do it in a subtle way. It's not any kind of trickery, but just you're getting in alignment together. There's an energy just by body language.
Wow.
Yes. So just pay attention to how they're standing. If they have their hands crossed, cross your hands. Like super simple, and just connect with them. Pay attention to their tone of voice. If they're super calm, you don't want to be super hyped up and loud, right? Match their tone and their volume. And then breathing is a really one. You can get into rapport just by breathing together. So easy way to recognize that is when they're talking, they're breathing out. So just breathe out when they're talking and start getting in an alignment and breathing together. And those things can make a huge shift. It sounds weird or but try it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So what's so cool is communication is only 7% words. It's 38% tonality and 55% body language. So the body language is huge in communicating. Like, how many times do we throw attitude with our head,
Yeah. Right.
So just really practicing those three things, taking care of yourself, doing something, love yourself and connect with yourself.
Right.
Really pay attention to what's going on in your mind. What are there voices in your head? Is it you talking to yourself? Is it negative or positive? If it's negative, reframe it. What
Mm,
else could this mean? Or like, okay, I want two positives to go against that negative because that's just not good for me. I don't need that.
yeah.
And just focusing on connecting with your spouse without using your words. Those three things can make a huge shift easily.
Okay. Great. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, we're running out of time, and I want
Yeah.
you guys to quickly share your course that you have for whatever
Yes.
you may have. You want let them know where they can go, and I will also put the link if you give it to me in the description box.
Great. Excellent. Yes. You can go to Facebook or Instagram. It's Magic Marriage Coaches. Super easy. And I'll give you the link. You can go ahead and put that in if you want to follow or like us. We provide content on there. We're going to be having a live weekly webinar coming up mid-February, right after Valentine's Day.
Awesome.
So if anybody wants to join, that's super free. And we just want to reach out and help people make a shift quickly.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, thank you so much. You guys shared so much great information. I'm
Thank
definitely
you.
going to try some of those concepts with my husband. We'll be
Cool.
traveling, and so I'm going to be like following his body language and see if he catches on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much for sharing. Oh, and to my audience, don't forget to check out our marriage challenge journals that my husband and I created together. It's a great place to start if you can't afford counseling or, marriage counseling. And the link is in the description box. And again, thank you so much, Lori and Rachel, for
Thank you,
coming
Sharon.
on. And we will see you guys later.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.